Welcome back to the Emperor Atheist channel with your host with the most, Emperor Atheist. First thing I want to do is thank all of my subscribers, as I try to always do, new and old. Thanks for liking and sharing my videos as well. Well, today, get right into it. The particular topic of this particular video is why are most philosophers atheists, or at least skeptic? Well, the first thing I want to do is explain why philosophy is valuable. There are some atheists, some agnostics or skeptics, who deem that philosophy is not important. I don't think that's a good thing. This is particularly a point where I disagree with the great mind of Lawrence Krauss, who I'm going to be interviewing soon, by the way. That was a good time to mention that, since I mentioned him. And we were basically going to talk about that. I'm asking him all type of things. But he seems to have a downward opinion of philosophy. He's basically just all pro-science, and I get that. But philosophy is very valuable. It's many things that it can teach, important things for various reasons. So when you think about it, and when you think about questions, just philosophical questions. Why are we here? Metaphysical questions, which, by the way, metaphysics is a branch of philosophy. But I do reject metaphysics when people try to use it as a science, which is definitely wrong. But this is how most people, they begin to speak of metaphysics as some type of supernatural thing. And that's when I actually definitely go anti on that. But philosophy as a whole, like I say, metaphysics is just a branch of philosophy. But metaphysics is a wonderful thing as well. But as a whole, philosophy, I mean, it basically it gives students, at least students of philosophy, they learn to identify important fundamental questions, about yourselves, about the world, about things around you. So philosophy is a great thing to get into. I know you don't have to, go to school, PhD in it, but it's something good to study. And I tell everybody, I think you should always be interested in philosophy. Read up on philosophy, learn about some of the great philosophers, whether theists or atheists, because there were many, of course, theist philosophers. And basically, this is what I'm going to be speaking about. Basically, philosophy as a whole, but philosophy of religion. When you think about it, and we actually think about times past, going all the way back to Heraclitus of Greek philosopher, who was a pre-Socratic philosopher, all the way to Lucretius, all the way up into David Hume and Bertrand Russell, Anne Ryan, Michael Zenith, all of these, Friedrich Nietzsche, all of these were atheist philosophers who were very big, very popular, very big character people of their times. These particular people pushed questions and debates about religion to a whole new level. Once again, there were a lot of theist philosophers who I read and who I liked. A great many of them. Rene Descartes, a lot of different philosophers. Godfrey Leibniz, many others, Walter Brown, a lot of different philosophers who believed in a God. So I'm not taking away and saying that these philosophers were less important or not intelligent. I just want to make the point that philosophy teaches you how to think, it teaches you how to use your reason, it teaches you how to use your rationale. But there's something to be thought about. If the majority, over 60% of all philosophers are atheists or have been atheists, this is something to think about. If we know philosophy to be something that what we call makes you think, or what we call lateral thinking, it pushes your thinking, it advances your thinking, it makes you go past certain boundaries that a lot of other disciplines just don't do. Beauty, just looking around, understanding the cosmos. Aesthetics, For example, me and a couple brothers talked about it in a hangout not too long ago. Aesthetics is a form of philosophy. So philosophy covers a big spectrum. But the thing is, why are most of these philosophers atheists? This is my particular answer to that. I think most atheists, most philosophers are atheists because their thinking has been advanced. The reason has been advanced by questioning, by asking the questions, by asking the metaphysical questions, by studying aesthetics and the beauty of the cosmos, and knowing that these things are beautiful, are inspiring without the belief in some intelligent designer, or without the belief in some sky daddy who has to watch everything you do and to give you a bad grade. Or if you get a too bad of a grade, you get too many F's, you're going to some hell forever. If you get A's and B's, then you're going to some heaven forever. These things just, I don't think, fit into the realm of pure reason and rationale. And this is why I believe most philosophers, who many of them started off as children under Christian parents or theist parents, but as they expanded their brains and expanded their minds with philosophy, philosophy actually opened them up to anti-theism, to the possibility that there probably is no deity. We're probably on this earth and all of this evil and this problem of suffering. We're probably on this earth by ourselves, and we're going to have to figure it out by ourselves. There's no way that there's an omnibenevolent God, and the same God is omnipotent and omniscient. So this is a problem. And I think most philosophers realize this. And this is why I believe why we see the bigger percentage of philosophers being atheists. The reason I wanted to do this video because there was a discussion I had not too long ago, and we were talking about scientists. We were talking about the percentage of scientists, specifically of the National Academy of Sciences, NAS. Me and MP talked about this before. Me and Dragnot talked about this in our hangouts, where we see the elite scientists of the world and the best of all fields of science, whether it's biology, physics, astrophysics, whatever, geology, the best scientists in the world, elite scientists, are part of the National Academy of Sciences. Over 93% are atheists. Now, this does not account for all of the scientists of the world, because I would say that those numbers, most scientists are probably theists. But when we talk about the specific group of elite scientists, we're talking about the best of the best in their field, the best PhDs in their field. We're talking about the NAS, the National Academy of Sciences. Over 92% of that elite group are atheists. There's a reason for that. And I think these reasons should be expounded on. There's a reason that over 60%, 62, 63%, even higher now probably, of philosophers are atheists. And I think we should talk about that more, because we always talk about philosophy and we always want to have these theists, always want to have these philosophical debates to try to prove their God, because it's the only way, which is fair, it's fair, to ask metaphysical and philosophical questions about a supposed deity. It's fair questions to ask. But I think a lot of theists get caught up in a lot of these philosophical arguments, in which I always talk about was an ontological argument, the moral argument for God, the teleological argument, the tag argument, transcendental argument, which is a transcendental argument for God. Whatever philosophical argument they get into, they seem to think that these are evidences for this deity, and it's not. There's no evidence for your God, whether it's a biblical God, a Quranic God, Hindu God, whatever God you believe in. There's no evidence. You've brought no evidence. The deist has brought no evidence. Usually the deists don't even care. The pantheists don't care either what you think. They're not trying to push their religions in school. The pantheists or the deists are not trying to push their ideas politically or trying to pass out pamphlets on the street either and knock on your door at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to try to talk about this imaginary being. So I usually don't even talk about deists or pantheists, in which I've always say I think the deist God makes a lot more sense. a whole lot more sense than the theist God or the biblical God, the Judeo-Christian Islamic God. Makes a lot more sense than that God. And we could have a possible discussion that deity, the deist God, probably could exist. But the biblical Judeo-Christian Islamic God, I'm strong atheist against that particular deity. I say with affirmation that God does not exist, just on its attributes alone and its concept, its theological concepts. That God, there's no way that God exists. But these particular philosophical arguments are used by theists to keep it going, because they know that the majority of the world, the majority of the country, needs these people to debate. They need these debates, and they want to feel comfortable about their beliefs. Even though I think latter years they're not really feeling comfortable about their beliefs. This is why more atheists, YouTube atheists, even atheists that are bigger than YouTube atheists, are being attacked more. And I know that there are some crazy, ignorant atheists that are out here saying stupid things and do a lot of stupid ad hominem things and crazy things. I understand that. But for the most part, the atheist community is looked at as evil. We're looked at as anti-everything. Some of us are looked at as anti-American for not believing in this imaginary biblical God. I say throw the Bibles away. Throw them all in the trash and burn them up. That's what I say. But I know that there's some good in the Bible as well. So I really don't say that. Because I know that there are some people, especially older people, who get up every morning and read Psalms 56 or Psalms 23. And it makes their day go by. So I understand that. Keep your Bibles. But keep them to yourselves. Don't try to force these beliefs on all of us, because philosophically, you're not winning these debates. Scientifically, you never win a debate, because science doesn't care whether your God exists or not, but science can prove that this God can exist or can exist. Sometimes that might be sometimes that could be a negative, because in some aspects I do believe science could disprove this biblical God. I think the God question, it could be of a scientific matter, but I'll make another video on that alone. But some people say it can't. Say science has no say-so in the existence of a God, because they say that this God is unfalsifiable. But I kind of go against that sometimes as well. And like I said, I'll explain it in another video. But once again, man, I just wanted to make this particular video because there's a lot of theists out here who believes that these philosophical debates are strong for their God, and they're not. They're not. They're strong questions. Some of them are strong questions. Some of them are good answers. But I really don't see any of these arguments as being good. I think the ontological argument is terrible. Pascal's wage is definitely pathetic. I made a video on that. I made a video on ontological argument. The watchmaker is sickening to listen to. It's like listening to 24-hour kickbacks of Ray Comfort or Ken Ham or Kent Hovind. It's pathetic listening to somebody talk about the watchmaker. That's a terrible example of trying to prove your deity. It's weak, very weak. And like I say, the transcendental arguments, a lot of these presuppositionalist arguments are weak. I don't see strong. The only argument that I would say, that I would honestly say, if someone could really present it well, only one I could think, and I've heard John Lennox kind of speak about it. He's about the best I've seen from the Christian side as far as debaters to actually bring this argument. And that's the theological argument, or what we will call the fine-tune argument. That's the only argument that I think where you could have actually a good back and forth debate on the possibility of this God existing. But even then, and I try to make these points, even then, like I say, most of the time there are Christian philosophers using these, doing these in debates. A lot of Islamic scholars, they can use them too, because they have a right to, because they believe in their own God, which is separate from the biblical God. But a lot of the Christian philosophers use it in these debates. But the thing about it, even if they make good points, right, and I always say this, and they know this too, they know this is the weakness of their position. Even if you can show that fine-tuning, there had to be some type of designer because of fine-tuning, you still can't circumspect, you still can't predicate that this particular deity is your biblical God. It could be Zeus. It could be any other god of the African pantheons. It could be a god that came and just died 500,000 years ago. Because the thing about it, even if you philosophically say that, yes, we can at least kind of show that there was a God who created the universe, it still doesn't predicate that this particular deity is omnipotent. It doesn't predicate that this deity is omnibenevolent or loves anyone. It doesn't predicate that this God can live forever, is all powerful, all anything. So this is the problem. Or it doesn't predicate that this God is moral. So this is the problem that anybody philosopher has to even try to argue, even the best argument that they have. They still can't use this particular argument to predicate that it's the God of their particular personal faith. So therefore, they're still on a losing team. So I just wanted to make this video. I didn't want to make it too long, but I just wanted to put that out there, man. That's a thing. I think there's a philosophical question within this video. Why are most philosophers atheists? I think that's a good question to ask and to ponder on itself. I just gave my answer, and there could be many more answers. One thing about philosophy, it teaches us that problems have multiple solutions to them, or answers could have multiple, questions could have multiple answers. So that is my particular say-so on it, and I probably could come up with more answers to why most philosophers are atheists. So, you know, like I say, once again, man, I like y'all watching my video. Thank you for sharing and liking my video. I'm an atheist. I have many more debates coming up. Be tuned. Stay well. Take care of your family. Take care of yourselves. Peace. I'm out.